In 2014, the Lego Movie was Zeus's custom-made lightning in a bottle that caught us all with our pants down. What came across as a disgusting attempt to capitalize on our collective childhood memories actually brutally subverted those expectations by providing a really tight script filled with hilarious jokes and satire. And this film also managed to juggle over-the-top comedy and characters with some genuinely heartfelt story beats and payoffs. And that animation! Mwah! Sadly, none of this was picked up on by moi until I actually sprouted the average number of brain cells in that aging head of mine. When I first watched the Lego Movie, I was just like, and not much else than that. Which was still a pretty engrossing experience, and it was plenty to get me on board the mindless hype train of Lego movies counting down the days until another Lamau could be released before my very eyes. The Lego Batman movie was next in line, and Kitty Me was a little more critical of the flaws and gripes with this one. But overall, it was still a pretty fat Lamau, I'm not gonna lie. So with 2 solid gut busters under their belt, I thought to myself, WAG can do no wrong. This angelic company that has given me more giggles than the Yogscast, believe it or not. But then as my mind was swirling about, an opportunity to strike appeared in the form of my friends not knowing what movie to go see as a group. I manically searched through the Rotten Tomatoes front page and spotted another glorious WAG original sitting ripe for the taking. So with my beefy chest and manly mannerisms, I walked up to the group and proudly said, they still haven't recovered from the coma this movie bored them into. The Lego Ninjago Movie is the 3rd installment of the Lego Movie series that's set in a Lego city where the inhabitants are constantly terrorized by Big Baddie Garmadon. The only line of defense? An epic ensemble of hilarious and epic ninjas who epically save the city every time Garmadon even thinks about not epically stepping foot in their vicinity. Heading this team of epicness is the green ninja Lloyd, who is actually the son of Lord Four-Armed Man over here. 'Cause that's how genetics work. And he gets bullied about it or something, and oh God, what is this? The Lego Ninjago Movie is just so oblivious to what actually made the Lego Movie's sense of humor so special. Sure, it had lots of jokes that were designated towards filling up them scream tanks, but these jokes almost never cross the line of being irritating. They're so cleverly written and well executed that you can usually find the adults laughing right there along with their kids. Ninja Movie over here says, nah, frick that to heck, dude. We gotta baby this audience with the funny general sipping on a Slurpee.
Have you captured my son yet?
No, not yet, sir.
The jokes don't have a single drip or drop of cleverness to them, and only boil down to the most obnoxious and bland punchlines. To make matters worse, it's crystal clear that these writers weren't really concerned with appealing to the whole spectrum in the slightest. It's as if they brought in a focus-tested group of 2-year-olds to do revisions on the script every month in their scented crayons. And to top off this irritation and travesty Sunday, some of the jokes actually managed to remind me of Guardians of the Galaxy in a weird way.
Where am I? Am I over here? Or I'm over there?
You are right behind that building. I can see your shark tail sticking out.
Oh, let me grab that.
I'm so sorry, baby. I didn't mean to disrespect you like that. Guardians of the Galaxy is littered with character interactions composed of reciting how ridiculous their current situations and relationships are. But at least the pace of that movie is so brisk that these dialogues never really have a chance to get under your skin. But the rabid Chigger over here, on the other hand, painfully stretches out interactions that are very similar until they are thoroughly buried into the skin of anyone watching this travesty. Pretty much every comedic scene with Lloyd and Garmadon is directed by Garmadon being an idiot and not realizing something about their relationship, while Lloyd is very obviously trying to point them out in a patronizing way. Characters talking like this isn't really hilarious or clever in the first place, so it certainly doesn't need to be stretched to anorexia. And what makes matters so intensely worse is that some lackluster jokes are even repeated for a second time. Like, you know that moment when you're hanging out with your friends, having a gay old time, and then you say something stupid like, "Hey guys, look, toilet paper." So it's like, okay, now because I am an intelligent human with big human brain, I know never to dare speaking such a joke ever again as to get horrifically judged by my fellow peers. The Lego Ninjago Movie doesn't seem to have such human intellect because it has the gall to repeat jokes more than the R-Gaming legion of neckbeards. And it's tragic because some of these jokes were even a little chuckle-worthy on the first go-around, but hearing them again just left such a sour taste in my ears. There was actually one specific joke that mercilessly poured the Sour Patch Kid sugar down those same ears. And that is when Garmadon gets blown up by a big explosion and old Wilhelm decides to pay us a little visit. But the movie thought this punchline was so hilarious that they repeated it not once, not thrice, but 5 times. Speaks for itself, honestly. Although, that's not to say that this film is a complete holocaust of comedy, because there are actually a few visual gags and concepts that gave me a little giggle just because of how absurd they were, while also not being too incredibly obnoxious. Having an ultimate ninja weapon be a cheap gas station laser pointer that summons a giant real-life cat is pretty hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. And it leads to some pretty fun scenes just watching this cat destroy all these Lego creations. The comedy is at its best when there's no restraint of needing to be relatable or appealing to children. And it's even pretty good when it decides to take satirical humor out for a spin. Wait, hold up. This movie's supposed to be a parody? What? The movie opens up in the shadow of Will Ferrell and his son with a live-action sequence of Jackie Chan and Can't Act for Squat Kid from Aquaman. So Aquachild walks into this Asian-themed store because he's being bullied by all the kids outside, I think? It's kinda hard to tell because the kids outside look like they're just slapping each other around or something. Honestly, this scene is just terrible on all fronts, mainly because it makes absolutely no sense as to why it's even here. The live-action sequences in the Lego Movie provided a clever twist on the entire story, as well as a heartwarming little side plot that fits perfectly into the overall concept. Meanwhile, nothing over here manages to fit anywhere beyond the most cliched link of multiple storylines where Jackie Chan is reciting the Lego story we're watching to this random kid. It honestly comes across as if the writers didn't even have a clue as to why these scenes were implemented. And that confusion really spreads to the rest of the movie. Sometimes this moving identity crisis wants to be a quirky high school comedy pointing out the ridiculous nature of that time. Or a family drama where the dumb, cliched teen learns that their family members actually exist. Sometimes it quite desperately wants to be a parody film poking fun at typical tropes of dumb action and adventure marshmallow-littered cereal. And the entire time, it quite literally just is a dumb adventure kung fu movie that it has been attempting to mock this whole time. There are multiple lines throughout that are very obviously trying to be tongue-in-cheek, such as,
Channel number 4, make the school bus dangle precariously over an overpass or something. I've never seen that before.
but it just feels weird having these lines in the same movie where the ninjas go on a quest to find a powerful weapon that'll help them in beating Garmadon. But then they realize that said weapon was inside them all along. In order to pull off good satire, you have to avoid the thing you're satirizing, like that one creepy uncle who won't stop asking for your Wizard 101 username. Not embrace it with open arms in the lamest, most predictable sequence of events a kung fu movie could possibly conjure up. There's even a certain song that sometimes likes to show its face during the action scenes, and there's just something about it that seems familiar. Where have I heard it before? They try to somewhat distract you from the story using the dynamic between Garmadon and Lloyd, but even this little side plot really doesn't have any substance to it. Lloyd constantly goes back and forth from hating his dad to bonding with them at the snap of a Lego claw. As soon as they find Garmadon in the jungle, boom, Lloyd hates him. Literally 2 scenes later, when they're escaping an evil tribe, boom, he starts acting as if they were best buds the whole time. Garmadon betrays them near the end of their journey, boom, Lloyd deservedly hates him yet again. But then this is an all sunshine and rainbows baby movie, so obviously everyone and their uncle knows that Lloyd is just gonna forgive his father at the end of the movie. No matter how forced, predictable, vapid, uninteresting, insipid, bland. Oh shoot, I forgot about that scene at the beginning. Well, maybe this film will manage to subvert my expectations with the kid secretly being in a coma and imagining the entire snooze fest I just watched or something. Yeah, that would be pretty neat. Okay. Oh, Wag, what on this Lego-obsessed earth happened to you? You managed to make one of the greatest animated movies in the game, and then you just pull a nosedive straight into the shadow realm of embarrassing baby movies. I just don't understand how you could go from making something so revolutionary to... Oh. For the Lego Movie, Wag was able to get a hold of some of the best animation directors and screenwriters working today. The massive amount of creativity on display here came directly from direction and script writing. But Wag seemed to have a separate thought in mind during their self-indulgent barrage of Lego movies. This may seem off topic, but take a quick listen to these 2 tracks from the Lego Batman movie and Mad Max Fury Road. Hear that? It sounds like our edgy friend Lego Batman over here is copying from Mad Max to me. Credit to I Hate Everything for pointing this out. So think about this for a second. Mad Max, arguably one of the most action-packed thrill rides of the last decade, right? And a decision like copying temp music from other films usually comes from producers and high-up studio execs. So the fact that Wag wanted to use Mad Max music for their Lego Batman movie really shows how unbelievably massive their Lego testiculars and egos were from producing the Lego Movie. That would be a pretty good explanation as to why the sequels have less established writers and directors backing them. The studio execs of WAG strike me as giving themselves just a bit too much credit for creating this franchise with the bang that it started out with. But that's just a theory! A WAG theory! Thanks for watching! Hands down, one of the best parts about this movie is the stylization of making the whole thing look like a legit stop-motion Lego animation. Scratch marks on the pieces, lower frame rate on the movement in certain intervals, shallow depth of field to account for tiny Lego pieces. The whole shebang from the original movie is here and does continue to impress. There's even tiny little details where they manage to achieve an animated effect using separate Lego pieces to show dragging of movement. One particular moment that springs to mind is when Jackie Chan is blowing into a flute and is suddenly stopped with air still in his cheeks. The animators were clever enough to put 2 actual rounded Lego pieces on each of his cheeks to help show this effect. It's really stuff like this that helps me push through these agonizing kiddie movies, so it's nice that there's at least some effort put into the animation for the older audience to enjoy. Oh, whoops, sorry everyone, that's just my positivity timer. Yeah, my psychiatrist told me I can't talk positively about this movie for too long or else I'll have an aneurysm or something. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, this animation burns my eyeballs! While it is commendable that they're managing to stay somewhat faithful to the original style, they haven't even managed to do that properly. One sacred commandment that was never broken in the Lego Movie was the decision to animate every particle effect in the film out of Lego. Steam coming out of the train? Lego. Soap in the shower? Lego. The entire ocean? Soul annihilating Lego. The fact that every effect was constructed with actual Lego pieces makes the animation much more impressive and enjoyable to look at. Lego Nin Jalapeno over here took this commandment, spat on it, and chucked it straight into the face of our Lord. Because la-di-da, they just do whatever the heck they feel like. Let's throw some Lego minifigures in the Amazon jungle, that'll look consistent! This inconsistency first stuck out to me in the beach sequences, where the sand is actually made of sedimentary rocks and the water is animated to be actual liquid. It's not like these particle effects are poorly animated or anything, but it's just odd seeing Lego pieces interacting with real-life substances. And it gets all the worse as soon as characters start walking through that realistic jungle. Visual consistency has just been thrown out the window, screw it, out of the Empire State Building when you surround the Lego minifigure characters with realistic foliage. There was one shot that actually broke me down into a hysterical laughter because of how ridiculous it looked. There's just something about watching white-bearded Lego man over here interacting with photorealistic water that makes me feel icky inside. Imagine if you were just sitting back basking in absolute awe at the visuals of live-action movie Blade Runner 2049. And then all of the sudden, in the middle of a scene, Lego Man McGee just waltzes up and starts talking to Pretty Boy Gosling over here about space politics or something. All balance on the visual side would just be thrown overboard, obviously, and this phenomenon is basically the same as Lego Ninja putting Lego spiderwebs in the jungle leaves. What is wrong with you people? Visual consistency is very important whenever you have the guts to stylize something, but if you manage to pull it off, the end product will be that much more special. So yeah, it turns out the Lego Ninjago Movie was about on par with the Cartoon Network series. It's a shame because if Lord and Miller stayed in touch with these sequels, then they probably could have had something special on their hands. But alas, WAG became too incredibly elevated inside their own bum that this was not an option for this potentially beloved series.